Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ConnectWise RMM Getting Started training. My name is Jonathan Trinkley. I'm one of the senior onboarding specialists over here at ConnectWise, and I'll be taking you through the basics of getting set up and started with the RMM platform. A few housekeeping notes before we begin. Please make sure that your lines are muted. If you have not done so, please make sure you go ahead and mute your lines. Just going through the agenda of what we're going to be covering today, we're going to be going through what we call getting started, which entails covering creating users in the portal, setting up what we call notification rules and understanding the notification rule process, creating client sites, the process of installing the RMM agents. We're going to be going over where you view the machines and how to access it with ConnectWise Control. Talking about tickets just a little bit, and then wrapping up with a Q&A. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in and get started with creating users. Now, when we refer to users, we're referring to people that need access to this portal here, your RMM portal, for supporting your client machines. So to create users inside of this portal, we're navigating on the left side ribbon to Settings and Admin. Within side of Admin, on the far left, we have Users, Manage Users, and New User. To create a new user, you fill out this simple form here, username, email address, password. You would then select a role for the user. You can see the different roles listed here, super admin, manager, technician, and so on. By clicking on the question mark here to the side, this will take you to the documentation and give you a full description of each of those roles. For the sake of this example, we're going to go ahead and set up a super admin. Now, two-factor authentication is required for every user account of the portal. Make sure that this box here is selected, allow remote control access. If that box is not selected, this user would not be able to access the machines with ConnectWise Control. Make sure you plug in primary and secondary phone numbers as those are required. Address information at the bottom is optional, and select Save. That is how you create a user inside of this portal. Now let's talk about permissions a little bit more. So those roles that we have here at the top, manager, technician, office staff. Along the left side, if we navigate to users and default access, this is where you can change the permissions on a per role basis, meaning that each of those roles, manager, technician, office staff, you can come in here and change the permissions that are applied to those individual roles, so that anyone that gets applied to these roles have these permissions applied to them. Now, if we wanted to, we can navigate to manage users on the left side. If we selected a technician, so I'm going to select this technician here, Mike. At the top, you will see customize access rights. If you needed to customize the permissions on a per user basis instead of per role, that's where we would come in here and select customize access rights. Inside of here, I can then dictate what specific permissions Mike has access to. So this would override the role permissions that he's assigned as well. Once we complete this, just make sure we scroll to the bottom and select Save. Those are the processes to understand how to create and manage users. The next step in the setup process is understanding the use of notification rules. So notification rules, along the left side, we navigate to Settings, RMM Setup, notification rules along the left. Notification rules are essentially sets of rules that tell our NOC team how, when, and who to contact on your team for support. So with this version of RMM, you don't get access to the NOC for resolution. So the NOC is not logging into the client servers and fixing and resolving issues for you. However, you do still get access to the NOC to be able to call you, email you, create tickets. That is available. There is a default notification rule in place, which is this RMM ticket only. Inside of the notification rule, so by clicking on that, it will take us to the notification rule itself. By clicking on one of these little categories here, or one of the slots, on the right side, you will see these different categories of alerts: server internet down, critical impact, critical non-impact, and others. So when tickets are created for those categories, it's going to create a ticket only and send you an email. Now, if you would like to, you could come in here and change that. You can change that to receive phone calls. You can change your contacts. So the first person that's set up in your RMM portal is the person that's listed inside of your contacts. So if you wanted to change that, you would come in here and change that or add contacts on the right side by clicking the plus button. Additionally, if you wanted to change the contact that's in there, if we go back to the main notification rules section, from here you will see replace contact at the top. First, we're going to select who we want to be replaced. This is then going to display where that user is displayed in the notification rules. We select which notification rules we want David replaced in, and select which user we want to replace David. And then select replace at the bottom. So again, the notification rules are used so that the NOC knows how, when, and who to contact on your team for support. You can create your own. We recommend right now using the ticket only, the default one. The next step in the setup process is to create a client site. Now, there's a preferred method and a non-preferred method creating a client site. Let's talk about the non-preferred method first. So the non-preferred method to create a client site is to navigate on the left side to Settings inside of Admin. Inside of Admin, top left, you'll see Sites where we can click New to create a new site. This is where you should not be creating a client site. This is the non-preferred method. If you create a client site inside of here, it does not associate it with any product. Now, you could use that site later on to associate RMM. It's an additional step, however. So the appropriate way, the preferred method to create a client site is navigating on the left side to Settings, RMM Setup, Sites using RMM, New, and create a new site. Now, you will see use an existing site listed here. If you had created a client site inside of the admin section, you would then be able to use the option here, use an existing site, and it will pull that site from the admin section and allow you to use that. Again, that's not necessarily wrong to create under the admin. It's just an additional step that's kind of unnecessary when creating an RMM client site. So in creating a client site, we're going to go ahead and click on Create a New Site. It's then going to ask us to complete a form to create the client site. So the first thing that's going to ask us to do is fill out a client site name and client site code. You'll see those two fields listed here at the top. The site name is the client's company name. Site code, generally speaking, is the same as the site name. The difference is that the site code cannot contain any spaces or special characters. Address information is optional. Then we scroll down to RMM settings. The first section we come to are server options. So with this version of RMM, you don't have access to the NOC for support for resolution on your client servers. So NOC services are always going to be disabled. Next, we would select our notification rule that we just talked about. So I'll select the RMM ticket only. And then you will see control checkboxes here for both servers and desktops. So first, we want to make sure that these boxes here are selected to get control access deployed, essentially to get ConnectWise control installed. You will then see also a checkbox underneath that's titled Control Access One Click. One Click is a feature with ConnectWise Control that will bypass authentication using what we call automatic credentials so that you're not manually having to enter credentials when you connect to a client's machine through Control. If you would like that feature enabled, you would make sure you select that option there. Help desk is not available with this version of RMM, and we're scrolling down to the bottom where you see proxy server. If your clients are running a proxy server, make sure you enter the information here so that the agents can communicate through the proxy server to the data center. Once this form has been completed, make sure you scroll bottom right corner and select Create Site and Save Settings. Once the client site has been created, we then select the client site name. And by clicking on the client site name, it's going to take us into the client site in the portal here. The first tab we're going to see, product options, same screen that we just saw a moment ago, server options, desktop options. But we're going to focus on the agents tab here at the top. Inside of agents, you will see the VMware and vCenter monitoring section. If you have a VMware environment, this is where you can add in VMware host as well as vCenter devices. By expanding the desktop and server agent section, here's where you can view the different versions of Windows and Macs that are supported for desktops. as well as Windows and Linux that are supported for servers. Now, the different installation methods. So for Windows here, we have an MSI file that you can simply download, install manually onto the machine. You could take that MSI file, push it out through group policy if needed. We can click on copy URL. That's going to go ahead and copy the URL for the installation file. You can email that URL out to the end client. They would then click on that URL. It would then act as a regular download. Once it's downloaded, they then double click on the download to start the installation. Additionally, on the left side, we have extensions and tools. Now, I'm not going to navigate away at the moment, but inside the tools section is a tool that we call the scanning tool. It's an IP address scanner. You run that tool on the network, plug in the IP range of the network. It will scan that IP range, report back any machines that it finds, allows you to pick and choose what machines get the agent installed. The major prerequisite with that tool is that you must do one manual installation first, as that tool is required to run on a machine that already has the agent installed. Now, additionally, top right corner, we go to resources and documentation. In the documentation, top left, we have ConnectWise RMM, getting started with RMM. We'll see installing RMM agents. This will walk you through those different installation methods. We also have an article on the left side here, how to install an RMM agent using Microsoft Intune. So various methods for installation, download the MSI file to run it directly onto the machine, run that MSI through a group policy, copy the URL and email that over to the end client, run the scanning tool for mass deployment, and you can also run the installation through Microsoft Intune as well. Now let's segue over here to the right side and let's go to support access. So I had mentioned that control one-click feature that will bypass authentication so you're not manually having to log in. That feature leverages what we call automatic credentials, which are credentials that are automatically generated by the RMM for the system to use. This is where you come in to enable those credentials. Now, these credentials are encrypted and they're always changing. Your team can access these credentials if you needed to, if you wanted to use these credentials to access the machines or to log in. On the left side ribbon, navigate to Quick Access, Secure Information Store, and you will see server and desktop passwords listed here. Now, once the agents have been installed, the next step is to see where they appear at in the console and be able to support them. So on the left side ribbon, we navigate on the left here to devices and into computers. Inside of devices and computers, this is where you'll see your client's machines once they are deployed. Some high-level information from the start here, machine name, device type, desktop or server. You will see last user logged in, site name, OS. You'll also see the column here for login, which is where you can connect to the machines with ConnectWise Control. Hover over, we can see control remote access, control dashboard. If we click on the login column, so you'll see where it says launch control portal here, that will take us to the ConnectWise Control portal. This will allow us to see all of our sessions running through ConnectWise Control. It'll allow us to see all of our machines with control installed, and we can also get additional actions through control here as well. Now back inside of the devices page, this is again where you would see all your clients' machines and sites show up at. On the right side, we can plug in filters. So I can filter over here by client site name, conditions, so certain tickets that are generated, availability, online or offline. So here on the right side is where we can manually click on filters to filter the machines inside of the devices page. I can also apply filters by clicking on the search and searching in the option here on the left side as well. So this search is kind of like an autocomplete type of search. So when we start typing out information, it will autocomplete for what we're looking for. So for example, here's my machine listed. I can see on the right side, I'm the last user logged in. Here's my site name. Here's my machine name. So let's say that I wanted to filter by site name. So on the right side, you'll see my site name is John Test Site. So I can go ahead and start typing out my name, John. Now I'm going to see that there's one machine at the site that's titled John Test Site, but I can also see that there's one user that has John in the name. So I can go ahead and click on one of those filters to filter by those specific criteria. Again, if I wanted to search by maybe machine name, so start typing out my machine name, it's going to go ahead and populate that name there. Now, additionally, on the left side under devices and device groups are essentially a method of which you can create groups based upon certain criteria to group machines together. So inside of device groups, we click add, and you will see dynamic group and static group. So static group is simply where you pick what machines you want grouped together. If you had a group of 50 machines and you wanted to select 5 machines to group together, we can go ahead and create a static group and pick which machines we want grouped together. Now, dynamic groups are based upon certain criteria to group machines. So on the right side here, we would click add criteria, and we would go ahead and start filling out what information we want populated here. So we're going to go ahead and do a basic one. So let's do installed software. We can do contains or does not contain. And we're going to populate, let's say, a basic one here. Let's do Google Chrome. Now, before I click on this, top right corner, you're going to see devices meeting criteria is 0. When I click out of this, it's going to refresh and show me those devices meeting this criteria of installed software containing Chrome. And here's that machine that has Chrome installed. Now, you can leave this alone. I can just leave this as a device or dynamic group, in and of itself, or I can click add criteria and I can do an and statement. So installed software contains Chrome and X, Y, and Z, and you can see the different types of criteria that you can add inside of here. Or I can also click the add outer block at the bottom and add an or statement. So installed software contains Chrome and X, Y, and Z, or installed software contains Chrome or X, Y, and Z. So clearing out the or statement, let's go ahead and create a basic and statement here. So installed software contains Chrome, and let's say that it's running OS contains Windows 10. So this is going to show me the machines that have Windows 10 installed and that are running Chrome. Top right corner, you can see device meeting criteria is 1. And here is that machine. Now with this, I can go ahead and save this. Top left, I can go ahead and save after I give this a group name. Once I have created that device group, I can apply that as a filter inside of here. So on the right side, we go to device groups, and I can filter by that group, Chrome and Windows 10. Here's where I can see what filter I've applied, and here's where I can see what machines are falling into that criteria. Okay, so let's talk about ticketing for just a moment. So it is possible to integrate manage into the RMM platform. That is possible. However, it's not recommended that you do so at this time. If you're running Automate and you have the integration set up with Automate and Manage, it's not recommended that you set up RMM to be integrated with Manage because it could cause duplicate configuration items inside of Manage. So while it is possible to integrate Manage into RMM, it's not recommended to do so to avoid issues or to avoid duplicate configuration items since you already have Automate integrated with Manage as well. So without setting up without setting up the integration with Manage, on the left side, we're going to view tickets by clicking on the Tickets tab. Inside of the Tickets tab, you're going to see different queues populate here towards the top. My queue, company queue, back office queue. All new tickets that are going to be assigned to your team are going to fall into the company queue. And if we expand the company queue on the left, you'll see the different statuses that tickets can fall into. All new tickets that are going to be sent over to your team from the support team are going to be assigned over from the new status. And you will see all the tickets listed inside of here if any tickets were generated. All right, everyone, we have a next meeting. Our next meeting, we're going to be diving into more features and functions of the RMM platform. Some of those features we're going to be discussing on our next meeting are going to be automation, scripting, IntelliMon alerting, custom monitoring, alert suspension, custom fields, and reporting. With that being said, along the left side, for today's meeting, I would recommend or I would ask that everyone just simply clicks onto the Bright Gauge tab. Just click on it. By clicking on the Bright Gauge tab the first time, it will provision it for you. First time that you log in here and click on that to provision it, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to provision it for the first time use. Now, any subsequent times that you go in there and click on Bright Gauge tab, it'll be instant. You'll be able to get in there, view reports. It's just that first initial time clicking on the Bright Gauge tab takes a couple hours to get that provision for you. So just go ahead and make sure you click on that, and then we'll discuss reporting more in depth on our next meeting. All right, everyone. So that really wraps up what we wanted to cover for today. Now, before we end this here, I want to leave you guys with some documentation, some information on the platform. So top right corner, we go to resources and we go back into the documentation section. In the documentation, again, there's ConnectWise RMM top left, getting started with RMM, and then here's everything that we went over today. Users, notification rules, installing agents, creating sites, devices page. So everything that we touched on today are listed inside the documentation here. Now, additionally, if we go inside of here to Resources University, that is not the ConnectWise University that you are familiar with today. That university option inside of here, top right, that is a legacy university. Now, if you wanted to go into ConnectWise University directly, documentation for ConnectWise RMM is listed inside of here as well. So inside of ConnectWise University, inside of documentation, scrolling down, we see ConnectWise RMM. And you will see getting started top left. And then here's information on getting started with the RMM platform, everything that, again, we discussed today. All right, everyone, if you have any questions after today's meeting, please reach out to your Partner Success Manager. If you're not sure who your Partner Success Manager is, please reach out to partnersuccess@connectwise.com. Thank you for your time and have a great day.